Welcome to Grandpa's True Scary Stories, where every story you hear was once real. Tonight's tale is a chilling, true, paranormal horror titled Terrifying Late-Night Conversations with Shadows. If you've ever talked to yourself in the dark, and something answered, you'll want to keep the lights on for this one. Let's begin. The first time I spoke to the shadows, I was convinced it was just a dream. It was exactly 2:47 a.m., that strange hour where reality starts to feel loose, like a film reel slipping from the projector. I'd been awake for nights, studying for exams. My small apartment lit only by a flickering desk lamp that buzzed every time the old fridge kicked in. I remember saying aloud, half asleep, I should really get some rest. And from the deepest corner of the room, where the light didn't quite reach, a quiet, raspy voice whispered back, "Then, lie down." It wasn't my imagination. The sound had weight, a physical presence, as if a human mouth had carefully shaped those words from the encroaching dark. I froze completely, my heart pounding in my ears. The lamp flickered once, then twice, as if in response. The voice spoke again, softer this time, almost soothing. "I can help you sleep." I didn't move an inch that night. I didn't dare to breathe too loudly. When morning finally broke, bathing the room in safe, rational sunlight, I laughed it off. Just a side effect of sleep deprivation. An audio hallucination. Whatever excuse helps you cope, right? But the following night, a sliver of doubt made me leave the light on, just to prove to myself that it had been nothing more than a trick of a tired mind. And right on cue, at 2:47 a.m. again, the lamp began its familiar flicker. The corner of the room seemed darker than before, almost unnaturally so, as if the shadows were actively bending inward, consuming the light around them. Mustering my courage, I said firmly, "Not tonight." The darkness replied instantly. Without a pause, "You called first." Something in its tone so calm, so familiar, like an old acquaintance remembering me made the room feel claustrophobically small. I decided to turn off the lamp, thinking maybe it was just some kind of electrical interference causing the sounds. That was a mistake. Instant, profound regret washed over me. Because the moment the bulb died, plunging me into absolute blackness, I heard breathing. It wasn't coming from around me, but from beneath me. It sounded like something was lying perfectly flat under the floorboards, inhaling slowly through the gaps in the wood. Then the voice whispered, so close this time that I felt the hair on my arms stir. "You should never answer back." The next day, I was desperate. I tracked down my neighbor, an old man who was a retired electrician. He listened to my story and then smiled, but it was a grim, knowing smile. "Same thing happened to the woman who lived there before you," he said, his voice low. "She used to talk to something after midnight. Said it was lonely." He told me she'd started leaving out plates of food in the hallway. Plates that would be empty and licked clean by morning. Then one day, she was just gone. All that was left behind were a series of black handprints on her kitchen wall, far too high for any normal person to reach. I tried everything after that. I played loud music, kept every single light on, recited prayers I hadn't thought of since childhood, and even used a white noise machine. But none of it mattered. Every single night, like clockwork at 2:47, the shadows would return. And each time, the voice grew clearer, deeper, closer, and somehow more patient, as if it was waiting for me. One night, it said, "You talk to everyone else, but not us." Another night, it asked, "Why do you live alone?" I finally snapped and told it to stop, to leave me alone. It laughed, not a mocking laugh, but a disappointed one. "We liked it better when you whispered back." Then came the night it asked me a question I can't ever forget. I'd actually fallen asleep early for once, exhausted beyond measure. I woke with a start at 2:47, not to a sound, but to the sound of my own voice, talking softly in the dark. Except my lips weren't moving. I was hearing my own voice say, "Do you want to see what we see?" I slowly turned my head toward the sound, and the shadow on the wall, my shadow, was facing the wrong way. Its silhouette was turned toward me, even though I was facing forward. It raised its hand, slow and trembling, even though my own hands were clenched at my sides. And then, in an instant, the lights in the entire building went out. I couldn't see a thing, but I could feel the dark. It was heavy, dense, like it had a physical substance. Then the voice whispered directly into my ear, inches away, "We remember you." I screamed, and as if my scream was a switch, the lights came back on. The shadow on the wall was gone, but a single handprint, black and oily, marked the floor right beside my bed. Now, the voice doesn't wait for 2:47 anymore. It follows me into the daylight. I hear it in reflections, in shop windows, in the glare on my phone screen, anywhere that light meets dark. Sometimes, if I'm standing outside and the sun is behind me, I'll see my shadow tilt its head when I'm standing perfectly still. I still talk to it sometimes. Old habits die hard, I guess, but I don't answer its questions anymore. Because every time I do, the nearest light flickers, and the shadows around my feet stretched just a little bit longer. And whenever I stop talking first, it whispers, almost kindly, "Good, you're learning."